What's there better to do 2 days after the Super Bowl than make your 2026, 2027 NFL predictions? My Seattle Seahawks just went out there and gave the fraud New England Patriots absolute B2A. And Marshawn Lynch said it best. Nothing tastes better than getting that lick back. We're going to go through our Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Protector of the Year, all the awards, all the way down to our 2026, 2027 Super Bowl matchup. Before we start this video, hit that like, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our daily sports content. And let me know who your MVP for the upcoming season will be down in the comments. We are going to start with the Coach of the Year. When I tell y'all, I thought for at least a good hour on who my Coach of the Year was going to be. I went through guys like Stefanski. I don't think I trust him with the quarterback that he has over there in Atlanta. I went through Canales. I was like, the Panthers, they could go out there, but what are the odds the Bucs are just going to bounce back, or the Falcons might potentially be good enough to win the division? And then we look over at Clint Kubiak with the Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe he can make something of the Raiders. I just don't think it's going to come this season. I don't think they're going to make that much of an improvement. Adding Mendoza is going to be great for this team. But is he going to come in and make an immediate impact? They still have an O-line to worry about. They still have a defense to worry about. They still have a wide receiver room to worry about. And I got to John Harbaugh and I was like, they're in a very solid division. If the Cowboys make upgrades, it could be scary. If the Commanders bounce back, make upgrades, and you get Daniels back on all cylinders, it could be scary. And then you look at John Harbaugh, I really think he's going to have to win the division to win this award. I think it's absolutely possible. You got a guy that knows how to coach superstar running backs. Or, my bad, quarterbacks, I guess running backs too. You got a guy who knows how to coach stud defenses, and the Giants have just been that one guy away, that one coach away that could really take them from middle of bottom of the pack to high tier top of the league. You got the quarterback, you got the running game, you're going to upgrade your wide receiver core, you're going to upgrade your O-line. You have really solid studs on defense. They just have to put it all together. So my Coach of the Year is going to be John Harbaugh of the New York Giants. And then we head on over to our Comeback Player of the Year. And there were a lot of guys up for this award. We had a lot of guys that missed time this year with tedious injuries and big injuries. My Comeback Player of the Year, and it pains me to say this because it's a guy in the Seattle Seahawks division. What Fred Warner is about to go out here and do to the league is going to be sick work. I'm talking, he's going to be top 5 in tackles. I think he might even compete for Defensive Player of the Year. He might be number 1 in tackles. This is a dude, what's his nickname? Freddy Ruger, sickest nickname in the league. Next slide, big cat, stuff like that. Freddy Ruger's absolutely crazy. This is one of the, if not the best linebacker in the league. His ball knowledge is absolutely ridiculous. I do have honorable mentions because, like I said, there were some dogs hurt this year. Patrick Mahomes could come in and win Comeback Player of the Year. Tyreek Hill could come in and win Comeback Player of the Year. James Conner could come in and win Comeback Player of the Year. And now I know that one's like way less likely than these other guys I named. I just think Fred Warner being the high-level guy that he is, and then I don't know if Mahomes is going to be back week 1. I don't know what team Tyreek Hill is going to end up on. I do know Fred Warner is going to be right at home with the San Francisco 49ers, looking for revenge because my Seattle Seahawks just won a ring in their stadium. So anything is possible. I'm rocking Fred Warner with the Comeback Player of the Year. Next, we have our Protector of the Year, and I'm rocking Joe Alt. I'm rocking Joe Alt. I think the year he was going to have this year was going to be insane. The Chargers are going to get their entire O-line back. You're getting Slater back. You're getting Alt back. I think it's going to be a big year for the Chargers if they can keep protecting Justin Herbert. There are a lot of guys that I think can be up for this award, but something about Joe Alt, what he did his rookie season, and then what you see like a guy like Will Campbell that just got drafted top 5, and I'm not hating on Will Campbell, a lot of potential. Joe Alt came into this league ready to protect his quarterback. You got guys like Penei Sewell, who I think could also win this award. You got guys like Deion Dawkins. You got guys like Trent Williams. I think Joe Alt is about to insert himself as a top 5 tackle in this league. Joe Alt is my Protector of the Year. Next, these next 2 awards are going to be interesting. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, both of these awards are really dependent on where these guys land. Do they land in the right system? So I was really having to look at guys' size, playability, style, what they did in college. And on the defensive side of the ball, I did go linebacker. I went with Sonny Styles. Now, his projected landing spot in the NFL is the Dallas Cowboys, and that could scream, I don't even know how to put it. That could be terrible for the entire league, because what Sonny Styles is a safety converted to linebacker, and it's not like he's a small linebacker. This dude is 6'4", 240 pounds. He had 83 tackles on the year on an Ohio State defense who was really solid. There's a lot of mouths to feed on that defense. This is a guy who can go sideline to sideline. He has the speed because, like I said, he was a former safety. This guy can spell problems for any division if someone drafts him. And I don't know how I'm trying to word that. This would be scary if a team like the Bengals got him. This will be scary if a team like the Dallas Cowboys get him. This will be scary if a team, I'm just trying to think of teams who need help on defense. Sonny Styles is coming in and making an immediate impact and will be a leader on that defense. And I think he's going to look kind of like Carson Schlesinger looked this year, almost top 5 in tackles, which is insane for a rookie. Again, it's going to depend where he goes. Is he going to mesh well, and is his game going to translate to the NFL level, where I think it does? I think he's going to be an insane-sized linebacker, or a good-sized linebacker with insane speed and sideline-to-sideline ability. Sonny Styles is my Defensive Rookie of the Year. Next, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, has this ever happened? I don't know if two guys from the same college team have ever won Defensive and Offensive Rookie of the Year, but if you go and watch Carnell Tate's tape, you are going to be absolutely sickened if a team in your division drafts him, because what this guy is, he is 6'3", 193 pounds, and his route running is absolutely immaculate. And when I tell you his comparison, you're going to be like, please don't let him be in my division. Let him be on my team. Justin Jefferson, the way his fluid route running is just out there, it's so crisp. He's a bigger guy when it comes to receivers, and he has the speed. This is a guy that you're going to, in the future, see Offensive Player of the Year potential. You're going to see him taking over wide receiver 1 on his team. And dear Lord, if you pair a guy like this with someone like, if you get him over there on the Bing, and I know they got to go defense, but dear Lord, Bengals, if Carnell Tate's, could you imagine Carnell Tate, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins? Dear Lord, you get him on like someone like the Lions. You get him somewhere that has an established wide receiver. You get him on or an established quarterback. You get him on the Chargers. You get him on like this. I almost said the Seahawks. Lord, if we get Carnell Tate, I'm going to lose my mind. You get him somewhere like the Seahawks. You get him somewhere like the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know where these guys will land, but I do know wherever Sonny Styles and Carnell Tate land, it is going to be an absolute problem. Carnell Tate is my Offensive Rookie of the Year. Next, my Defensive Player of the Year, and I felt pretty stale doing this one because I really feel like you don't got to dig deep in your bag to figure out who the Defensive Player of the Year is. I can see Myles Garrett as my pick, winning it back-to-back, because the gap between him and the next closest guy in sacks, who, if you don't know, was Brian Burns. I think it was with 16 and a half. Maybe it was 18. I want to say 16 and a half, though. The gap is there, and I see no signs of Myles Garrett slowing down. This is a dominant force in the NFL, and I think he's going to continue to be a dominant force. I think the next time we see him not win Defensive Player of the Year, which won't be this coming year because I do think he wins it, I think it is going to be voter fatigue. I think he's going to deserve it, and someone else is going to get it. Myles Garrett is my Defensive Player of the Year. Honorable mentions: Brian Burns could have an immaculate season. Max Crosby could also go out there and have an immaculate season. I picked Max Crosby last year. I think he just needs a change of scenery at this point. As much as Max Crosby loves the Las Vegas Raiders, sometimes a change of scenery is best for both teams. On to our Offensive Player of the Year. And this is a guy who I think is the best player at his position we have seen. Let me just show y'all who it is. Bijan Robinson is an absolute dog. Watching him run the ball, I feel, and I always go back to this in my mind. I don't hear a lot of guys comparing him to this. He reminds me of prime Le'Veon Bell. Y'all remember how Le'Veon Bell was just so patient in the backfield? He knew what moves to make, when to make them, to get open and turn a negative gain or a negative loss into a positive gain of 10, 20, 30. And if you let Bijan get into open field, it could be 60 for a touchdown. Oh, you think he's going to run the ball? He's going to go in the flat and catch a pass. He's going to run a Texas route and catch a pass. He can catch in the middle of the field, on the outside of the field. He can hit it on the outside of the tackles. He can hit it through the gaps. Bijan Robinson, I think, is the #1 most complete running back in the game. And I think if Kevin Stefanski has a single brain cell, you run him over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and you throw him the ball over and over and over and over and over again. I think he is going to have 2,000 plus yards this year. I think he is going to have close to 2,000 total rushing yards. I mean, I think he had 1,400 this year. I could see him having, if I was going to put some stats on Bijan Robinson, I'm putting 800 receiving yards, 1,600 rushing yards. And I think that's going to be our offensive player of the year. And I'm thinking 10 plus touchdowns. I know that sounds ridiculous. This is the guy to go to on the Atlanta Falcons. Drake London's a dog. Obviously, I think Kyle Pitts still got some proving to do. I think they're going to keep it on the ground more than often because I do not think they are proven at the quarterback position. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at our MVP of the 2026-2027 season. This one hurts me. This one absolutely hurts my soul, and y'all will know if you've been following me long enough. Before we do this, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and let me know your MVP down in the comments. My 2026-2027 MVP is no other than Jared Goff. Jared Goff. Jared Goff. Now, as much as it absolutely hurts my soul to say this, this is a guy who has had no fall off in quarterback play over the last 4 years. His last 3 years, he has thrown for 4,500 plus yards, and his worst year was 30 touchdowns. The year after that, I think, was 35, and I think this year it was like 37, something ridiculous like that. And what about the Lions is, I know I clown on the Lions all the time. The O-line is getting rebuilt. When they get that solidified again, it's going to be insane. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is coming full circle, and why I think that helps Jared Goff, people are going to be loading the box, and he's going to have the ability to get to Amon-Ra St. Brown, to get to Tesla, to get to all his wide receivers, to get to his tight ends, to make the reads he needs to make. Oh, and then you thought Gibbs was running the ball? Gibbs is catching it out of the backfield. Gibbs is catching it downfield. Jared Goff is set up to win MVP because this offense is set up to win the game through the air at this point, because Gibbs opens up the pass game. And then if you don't stack the box, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to torch you on the run. So it's live by it, die by it when you're playing against the Detroit Lions of Jared Goff, who plays really solid, no turnover football. He does have his games where he could throw 2, 3, maybe even 4, but they stay in those games because that offense is so good. And what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball is going to help their offense stay out there, because I think that their defense, the D-line's getting better. They're going to get better in the secondary. They're going to get healthy. Now, can they stay healthy? That's going to be the question everyone is asking. I think this will be Jared Goff's year to officially submit himself as an MVP in this league. And last but not least, when I tell y'all, I sat here for hours wondering who was going to be in the Super Bowl next year. I looked at teams like the Ravens. Can Lamar stay healthy? I looked at teams like the Chargers. I was like, can Herbert really go out there and be that guy? I looked at teams like the Chiefs. How much retooling do they really need to do, or do they need to go into a rebuild? And then on the NFC side of things, I looked at teams like my Seattle Seahawks. Is Sam Darnold going to be able to stay on that hot streak? I looked at teams like the Rams. Is an aging Matthew Stafford going to be able to pick up where he left off? I looked at teams like the Philadelphia Eagles. Is this potentially their head coach last year because they can't get it together on offense? And I came down to these two teams. An absolute relentless, insane defense. An absolute relentless, insane offense meeting in the Super Bowl that could be absolute fireworks, and it's two teams that I don't think any of y'all are expecting. We have the Houston Texans taking on the LA Rams. Yeah, I think the Texans defense, I think what the Texans are going to learn from the Seattle Seahawks and what CJ Stroud needs to learn from the Seattle Seahawks, that defense is going to give you chance after chance after chance after chance. If the Texans can get that run game healthy, if they can get that O-line significantly solidified, which is going to be, they had a lot of young guys on that O-line. They had a lot of injuries on that O-line. They need to get CJ Stroud out there, feeling himself again, getting his swagger back, getting his confidence back. I think getting a guy like Tank Dell back, if he can come back from that gruesome injury, is going to be huge. I think a guy like Nico Collins can still provide. I still think we haven't seen Nico Collins peak, is what I'm trying to say. I think your tight end room is starting to get better. You got an emerging guy in Cade Stover. You got a guy in Schultz. You got two guys that can really receive the ball in the tight end room. And then if you just keep building that wide receiver core, your defense is going to have your back. I think the Texans can learn from the Seattle Seahawks and they can solidify that Super Bowl run. And then we have the LA Rams, who really, their problem is they were putting 30 points on the Seahawks, the best defense in the league, who allowed 17.2 points per game. And they were putting 30 points on them every time we played. 25 to 30 points. That offense is ready to go. I think you got something in Blake Corum you can keep building in. I think you got something in Puka Nacua you can keep building in. I think you can solidify the offensive line is already crazy. When I tell you the Seattle Seahawks defensive line couldn't even get to Stafford a majority of the time. I think if you solidify that secondary, you go and maybe you get a guy in free agency. You go and you draft dogs on the defensive side of the ball. I don't see any way with the offense the LA Rams have, if you lock in that defense, that they don't make a Super Bowl. So, ladies and gentlemen, my official Super Bowl prediction, I think the Houston Texans and the LA Rams meet in Super Bowl 61, and I think it ends with Matthew Stafford receiving one last ring. That is our 2026-2027 official way too early predictions. Let me know your winner for each and every one of these awards. Let me know your Super Bowl matchup and your Super Bowl winner down in the comments. Don't forget, like and subscribe.